I'm Mimi Dwyer, and I work for Sierra Magazine. Last week, I hiked and spoke with Sarah Shourd, an American peace activist and environmentalist. Sarah went hiking in Iraqi Kurdistan with her fiancé, Bauer, and her friend, Josh Fattal, in July 2009. They accidentally crossed the border into Iran and were arrested. Shane and Josh remain imprisoned, pending their trial on July 31st.
I've always been a nature lover, and it really comes from my mom. My mom and I spent a lot of time outdoors, camping and hiking. It was kind of the default activity that we would do every weekend, was try to find a new trail or explore a new part of the mountain range in Los Angeles. I spent a lot of time at the beach, surfing and swimming and scuba diving. And it's the same for Shane and Josh. They both grew up spending a lot of time outdoors. And it's one of the many things that the three of us really have in common that connects us to each other. We'd been there for several days, and we naturally wanted to get outside of the city and get some fresh air and see about these mountains that we had heard many people rave about. Everyone we asked said that Ahmedawa was the most beautiful and the safest place to go. And it was a short taxi or bus ride outside of the city, so we jumped on it and we decided to go. We knew that we were hiking in the general direction of the Iran-Iraq border, but we just thought it was miles and miles away, and we assumed that we would see some kind of indication of a border. We thought we'd see a fence or a flag or, a checkpoint, something that would indicate a border, and there was absolutely no indication of any kind of border. And so to this day, we don't know where the border is. So we were trying to decide in that very moment, should we turn back and go to the waterfall, or should we go a little bit farther on this trail? And we were having that discussion the very moment that I looked up to the top of the ridge and I saw a soldier, and he was waving his arm over his head, up like this. And I turned to Shane and Josh and I said, look, there's a soldier up there. And they thought, okay, no big deal. Right. He's a Kurdish, we assumed he was a Kurdish soldier. They're called Peshmerga. And we thought, well, we're doing absolutely nothing wrong, so let's just go talk to him. He was talking to us in a language we couldn't understand. And we said, are you, Kurdish? And he's like, no, Farsi, Irani. And we were shocked and really stunned, in total disbelief, really. And he pointed to the ground and he said, Iran. And then he pointed to the trail where we had been hiking and he said, Iraq. I was in prison, in Evin prison, for 410 days, and I was in solitary confinement the entire time. In the beginning, all three of us were in complete solitary confinement for 3 months. We didn't see each other for more than a few minutes at a time, and that was after going on hunger strike for long periods of time. And they would let us see each other for a few minutes, blindfolded. There were times in my cell that I screamed for hours or beat at the walls. There were times when I really lost control. And because of the isolation. I think it's hard for people to understand what the kind of toll that kind of isolation takes on a person, not being able to speak to your family. My mother didn't hear my voice until 6 months into my imprisonment. That was the first time that we were allowed a phone call. The only access to the outside world that I had during my 14 months in prison, and that Shane and Josh now have after nearly 2 years in prison, is blue sky, a patch of blue sky through bars. I have an image of it being of them getting off a plane, because that's what it was for me, and that's what it's going to be. I just hope that wherever they get off a plane, I'll be able to be there, and their families will be able to be there for them in that moment. I just imagine throwing my arms around them, and I just can't wait to see their faces again. And I think of the images of myself getting off a plane and the look in my eyes in that moment, and I just can't. I want to see that look in their eyes